Good Erev Shabbos PJC. I miss you guys a lot. So I wanted to share another video today. Another special message for Shabbat Parshat Emor. Emor is a very rich parsha. I recommend taking a few minutes tomorrow to pull a chumash off the shelf or before Shabbat, print out the parsha that we sent to you to review what is one of the most special parshiot. But Emor begins with specific instructions to the Kohanim, to the priests. Instructions that priests somewhat live by still until today. There are restrictions regarding priestly behavior. Kohanim are not permitted to attend a funeral or to go to a cemetery. They have to remain tahor at all times where possible. There are certain exceptions. Right? If a Kohen loses an immediate family member, the Torah gives a special dispensation for that Kohen to attend that funeral. There is one Kohen that the Torah gives no dispensation. Under no circumstances is that Kohen permitted to become tameh, to become impure, even for an immediate relative. You see, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, his life doesn't belong to him. He's playing the role of advocate for the Jewish people. He's there to always defend the people he represents. And therefore, at no moment in time is he allowed to disqualify himself from that service. He's not permitted. His life is no longer his own because he's playing that very privileged role of representing us, of advocating for us. An element of his restrictions resonate with us today. We're socially distancing to protect ourselves, but mostly to protect others. We're taking this time seriously with a commitment to safety because we understand the role we play as advocates for others. We are becoming Kohanim Gedolim, each of us, for the rest of the Jewish people. Advocates for our community, that they should continue to be healthy and safe and live in safety. And therefore, just like the Kohen Gadol has to live with restrictions, he cannot become tameh. So too, we have to live with new and strange restrictions, that we have to maintain a social distancing from each other. We are living in the legacy of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. As the weeks ahead come, and we begin to see people slowly coming out of social distancing, and as we begin to see other states loosening restrictions, and our own state, Maryland, loosening restrictions, I want to reassure you that we are taking the decisions that need to be made about when and where our shul will meet very seriously in the weeks ahead. We are indeed, of course, desperate to open again, to daven together again, to sing again with each other. We are deeply committed to wanting to reopen our shul, while understanding that this is one of the most consequential decisions we will be making in our tenure. We're taking this decision very seriously. We're engaged in conversations both nationally and locally to understand the nature of any risk that may or may not determine when and how we can open. We're not there yet. That's very clear. Our governor made it very clear that in the coming weeks we will have various updates, that we will have to consider how we will change our practice to be able to open. But at no moment, like halacha requires, like halacha dictates, at no moment will we put anyone's lives at risk to open our shul. I miss you desperately. I miss our shul terribly. I look forward, please God, in the weeks ahead or the months ahead to getting back together, to davening together. I know and I'm deeply grateful for the leadership of our shul, who's working very hard to figure out reasonable options for our shul come in the weeks ahead. And I'm deeply grateful to each of you for acting in the legacy of the Kohen Gadol, for committing to protecting each other, for committing to do kindness to each other. I've heard of this week so many acts of generosity taking place within our shul. It's deeply inspiring. And so I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat filled with peace, filled with happiness, filled with generosity, and even though we may be isolated, a Shabbat as part of our PJC community together. Shabbat Shalom.